I was young, some level of patriotic fervor. I wanted to take part in the war and do my part. I guess a part of a lot of young men, especially with, most any world culture certainly, but with our media, you get exposed to a lot of violence, and so you kind of want to do your part or live war, see war, whatever. And that, and just a desire to really help and do my part, I guess in some patriotic, nationalistic extent. And then also I wanted to, just at a base level, do right by my family, make them proud, etc., and just do something extraordinary. And I felt like if I went straight to college, I wasn't going to get that same exposure. Well, I'm a mortar man. I hate bullets. Right? It's weird to say that, but I get a kick out of mortars. I dig it because you have a split second and try to dodge it. It's an adrenaline rush. I always it just tickles my day. I have a good time with mortars. So rockets and bullets scare me. Bullets are very personal, and rockets, it's either like you don't know what's coming or it's already done. But so just to let you know how callous and weird you can get, it's like, oh, okay, they're only trying to blow me up with mortars. Like, that's cool. But then I come on base, right? And I see the footage from when the guy was when they were mortaring us, whatever. And the first guy, so I was starting the snack coming up with my interpreter after we took out the mortar team and came up to sweep. And the first guy who I shook hands with, who was just this man, very genteel and smiling and very warm and accepting and everything, and just like super helpful, so to say. Look the footage back on base, and they're looking at him, and after we take out the mortar team, he's shooting an RPG at us, takes the shot, he kind of walks under a tree, hands it to a kid, takes off his turban, hands it to a kid, and then takes his turban from another kid, and he's the first one to shake our hands, and that's how the war is. I talked to a guy, right, and his daughter has, he tells me his daughter has a fever. So So I was like, okay, so I ended up talking to the corpsman, I ended up getting some Tylenol, so I gave him some Tylenol for his daughter, right? And that was it. This simple agriculturalist, just a simple farmer. No affiliation with any kind of politics or war, he just lives there, he got Tylenol for his daughter. Well, because he talked to me and they saw him, and this is why I say my job was kind of a weird thing too, is that like, most people's experience would have ended there. Well, I'm listening to Taliban or whatever, so I found out, and about 6 hours later, they cut his tongue out for talking to me because they saw him talk to me. And they made sure he didn't die. And so sitting now in class some years later, it's kind of weird because, I don't know if that man's still alive and what kind of quality of life can he have, as a simple farmer in this rural place where there's really no opportunity. And it's just, I didn't do it, but because he spoke to me as an individual, they did that to him. The contrast of, like I said, it was kind of a mind fuck, excuse the language, going from this very secure base, which enforced these arbitrary rules, to the shit, so to speak. So there's one incident where like we were, in a firefight, killing dudes, and then within 6 hours, I'm back on base, and my buddy Phil Cantor and I are walking, and first thing I have to do is change out my boots, because I'd wear non-regulation boots, because they were necessary. And then we'd have to shave our face, so like we're covered in like dirt and grime, except we have clean shaven face, and like my hat's barely tilted up. And so some guy who's, he's a career Marine, never left base, never been in combat, but he's, squared away, got a nice haircut, looks good. And he's in my face screaming at me like I'm a recruit because my hat's not on properly, or my hand's in my pocket. And so that was a really weird contrast. And it got to the point where I started to kind of lose it. I started to get evil. I don't want to say lose it, like I wasn't being irrational, but I started to like really get evil, get into the war, so to speak. And it was really like a really just cheesy, like a really bad action movie. I just did not get hit. Damnedest thing. And I just never got hit. And I ran over, put my Kevlar on, and for the next half hour I was engaging people with my rifle. Next hour really, but the first half hour was pretty crazy. And I remember it's kind of a unique and terrible feeling to like know you're gonna die and just kind of accept it. Like these rounds are hitting all around me, like danger close. I remember like this high-pitched whimper when I just kept saying like, "Oh Jesus, please Jesus, please Jesus." Well, we're all shooting, and they had at one point they had a fire team I saw, and they were shooting the other roof, and I guess they didn't know we were there. and I could see this, the way it was like kind of a half scoop like that, and their avenues of escape would have been through here. Well, I had perfect vision, and they're shooting over here. And when I started shooting, the guy in the back, it was 6 of them, but the guy in the back, this young guy, teenager, he realized what was going on. I could see it in his face through the scope. And but he didn't have any recourse because they had to retreat that way because they were getting lit up, but they're pretty well covered except for this one place, and I have perfect vision. So I just started walking the rounds down and traversing basically their mid backs, and that was kind of a weird thing, because I'm shooting them, and there's definitely periods where it's like I could have stopped. And to see, especially in that first guy, like he knew it was coming, and then just the horror and the terror in his face, and just the callousness, like I'm murking these dudes, and I just kept traversing, and so I took out that fire team, and and I shot some other dudes, and basically my whole life has just been dealing with the fallout of the war, and really just trying to be a person again, be a whole person. And it took me a while, it took me years, and it's gotten better, but coming here, especially with the Nickel State Veterans Organization and Mr. Gilberto Brabante, who runs it, they've just been crucial in helping me to matriculate back to society, because as much as I've tried and really faked the funk, I just at a base level couldn't live a regular life. And coming here has allowed me, besides losing myself in my studies and the full rounding and enrichment of the education, just learning to like ease into a regular life, has been good, in just making these things habit. So I can't say enough how awesome Nichols in particular, the surrounding area, South Louisiana, has just been. And then even the love, I'm just so appreciative too. I can't imagine the Vietnam vets getting back and getting flack, but even when I was fighting the war, I didn't support it in Afghanistan. But because I recognized it was a lost one pretty early on. But I'm appreciative that even now the attitude and the culture is support the troops, blame the war kind of thing, and that's been really good. It's been hard, but I'm just really appreciative, proud of my service, and humble, and given time and distance from the event, you think differently, and I see how world events are, and when it was closer to the event, it felt more acute. It felt like maybe some of that was wrong, but now seeing how the world is, etc., maybe it was good, and there was an existential good done for not just America but the world in a way by being out there fighting whatever. But it's just one of those things. It's just the damnedest thing.